going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's Workshop. Boys, I'm glad you dropped in today. I had a few requests in past videos to show some of the scenery, you know, like around the camp, you know, on the trails and on the roads and whatnot. Well, I haven't been doing a lot of trail riding recently for a lot of different reasons, but I always go to town at least once a week. So I thought, hey, I'm going to set the camera up in the car and just video the trip into town. So we're going to head into town today. Why don't you come along? Here we go. It takes about 40 minutes for me to get to town, so I won't run this video for 40 minutes, but I'll, you know, skip through it here and there. So buckle up. Our lake road. This is a private road that we maintain as log owners on the lake here. Traffic, I'm telling you, man. So when we first come out to the lake, with the people that came were mainly, you know, they had hunting camps or the fishing camps, or they'd come to the cottages in the summer. They'd come out here. There wasn't many people staying. A lot of people on the weekends would come out to their camps and cottages, but not many people were staying. In fact, when we moved in full-time on the lake, there was just one other couple that were staying full-time on the lake at that time. So we joined them then. They were glad to have us, you know, especially for the winter time. They were glad to have a neighbor on the lake handy. They were about the same age as us, so it was nice to have a neighbor close by, just in case, you know, you ran into some kind of difficulty. And we were still able-bodied men and women at that time too. So, but it was good fun living here, especially all winter. Our neighbor and I, we would plow the road with our ATVs. That was always fun. We'd get out, you know, spend the day plowing the road, back and forth, make about 50 trips, plowing with our ATVs. And after that first winter, that's when I decided that plowing the road all winter is not fun doing that on an ATV. So then I decided I better get myself a tractor. And I was able to. I had ways and means to get my tractor. So I bought the tractor, made sure it had a cab. So then that was a big relief then, with the cab on the tractor for plowing the road. Just went over a rough spot there. This is now the county road, and back there we just went over. It floods when it rains. We just had a heavy rain yesterday, and here again, this part of the road floods all the time. And that part of the road that we just drove over just now, that floods because there's a beaver builds his dam in that culvert. It's a 5-foot concrete culvert. He builds his dam in there, and the road floods. So they were just out the day before yesterday. No, that would have been Sunday. They were just out last Friday and cleared that culvert out, so it wasn't too bad there today. But normally the water just flows right across the road there. That's why it's all rutted out like that. We call the Department of Transportation to come and fix it, but well, they knocked the dam out. But until the beaver goes away, the dam will always be there. So that's just something you live with, I guess. So this is the county road. It may not look like one, but it is. She's rough in spots, and there's like, I think if you raked up all the gravel on the road together, you might get a trailer load out of it. There's no gravel left on the road. It's just terrible. We're well past peak color season here in central Nova Scotia. A lot of the leaves are gone already. Look, there's a culvert is washing out there, a big sinkhole coming beside the culvert. Yeah, the leaves are most all gone, and we didn't have real good color this year. About the leaves you see on the left here are about as colorful as they got. We didn't have any real good reds this year. Mainly they just went all brown and orange like that. Here's another spot where the road washes out. There's another spring here just on the left. People get water from this spring, but Of course, the road needs to be ditched, but trying to get the Department of Transportation to ditch the road is like trying to get Trudeau to tell the truth. So where our lake is here in central Nova Scotia, it's called West Loon Lake. There's 3 lakes, a little group of lakes. There are 3 of them together, and we're just passing by what's called East Loon Lake now. So on your right here you can see, I don't know whether you make them out there or not, I'm driving along the road here, hard to see, but there's camps all along the lake here on the right hand side. But our lake road services West Loon Lake and South Loon Lake, and then just to the right here, that's the road goes down to East Loon Lake. So a nice little community out here. It's pretty neat to have that little like camp cottage community. You know, you don't have to go far to get help, that's for sure. And the other thing I'll say about the help, doesn't matter day or night, summer, winter, if they're home, they'll give you their eye teeth to help you out. You know, the people here, all the people on all 3 of the lakes, they're just so accommodating and so welcoming and so helping. It sure is reassuring to know, like, that help is just, all you have to do is, you know, think about, gee, I need help. There'll be people coming to lend you a hand, do something for you, help you out. See a little partridge there on the left, just dashed into the woods. So that's one thing, you know, that as Nanny and I get on in our years, we often think, you know, gee, is this the place for us? You know, what happens if something goes wrong? But it sure is relaxing and reassuring to know that no matter what, all you'd have to do is make a phone call and there'd be help right there, bang, just like that. So anytime I go to town, I have to travel this dirt road, and sometimes the dirt road is in good shape, sometimes not so good shape. But in all the time I've been here at the lake, over 20 years now, I think there's only maybe one day that I felt like I couldn't get to town if I had to in an emergency. One day out of all those 20 years, and that was we had a real major snowstorm, and it was a March snowstorm. They're always the worst, but we had probably, well, I think we got over 2 feet of snow that time, but it was drifting real heavy. So, but we got through. At the end of that day, we had punched a hole between my neighbor and I. We'd punched a hole in the road wide enough so that we could get out if we had to, but luckily we didn't have to that time. But then to finish clearing off that snow, we called in help. We hired a guy with a front end loader to come in and clear the road out. We couldn't handle it then. Even with my tractor as mighty as it is, it couldn't handle that much snow all at once. So we're just coming to the end of the dirt road here now. Avoiding potholes here and there. Nice and sunny today. It's cold though. It was I think -1 this morning. Lots of frost around. So it's definitely the fall. Alright. Hang a left and doodle bob. Now the rest of this road, it's kind of boring. I tell you what, it's boring when I'm heading to town, but when I'm heading back to the camp, it's exciting. All the leaves blowing off the car now. I gotta say, I'm liking my Bronco Sport. I just switched the goat modes to economy. It's got 5 goat modes, they call them, go over all terrain. And the goat modes are normal, economy drive, sport drive, and then slippery, and then they call it sand. I think they call it sand because the car is made in Mexico. But we would call that snow here, and it's a 4-wheel drive. The slippery and the sand are both 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive modes. But I put it in economy mode right now, and right now it's showing I'm getting 7.4 liters per 100 kilometers. Not bad. When I had the Ford Escape, the best I ever got, I think, was 7.9, but most times it was around 8.3. Right now I'm getting 7.4, so I like it. EcoSport. It's fun to drive too. You sit up by good visibility. The seats, tell you what, the seats aren't real comfortable. I have to say that they're nice. There's nothing wrong with them really, but they're not as comfortable, say, as what the seats in the Escape were. But having said that, they're okay. But I don't know. I guess because it's a supposedly like off-road vehicle, the seats are a little bit more firm than what you would expect. But other than that, like, the handling of the vehicle is great. The suspension is good stiff suspension. And it doesn't oversteer, it doesn't dive on corners or anything like that. The brakes work great on it. There's 4-wheel disc brakes, and it'll bring you to a stop. I haven't tried an emergency stop on them yet, thankfully. Hopefully I never will, and it's only a 3-cylinder engine. It supposedly generates 181 horsepower on a 3-cylinder engine. Of course, it's a boost, an Eco Boost they call it, or a turbo boost. So it has a turbo on it. Of course, it would have to be that small. There's another lake just to our right here, and there's 2 or 3 camps on that lake. This is a part of Nova Scotia, like say from the Eureka, Hopewell, Lauren area. From there through to Sheet Harbour, there's not a whole lot going on. There's no cell service, certainly no power lines. And that's where this highway goes. This highway goes from Stellarton through Hopewell, through Eureka, Hopewell, Lauren, and on out through to Sheet Harbour. They used to call it the road to nowhere. I don't know whether that name was coined in Sheet Harbour or was that coined in Stellarton. I don't know. It could be said too that this road here, it's the best thing ever come out of Stellarton. I guess the way that joke should be told, it's what's the best thing ever come out of Stellarton? The 374 to Sheet Harbour. Some interesting place names along this road here. Back there a ways, we passed it already, but there's a little place called Bonnyville, they called it. The first, I guess, settlers in the area years ago were a family by the name of Bonnet, B-O-N-N-E-T. But over years, the slang has taken over, and it's just been called Bonnyville now. And you can still, if you go back in the woods on the trail there, you can still see the remnants of the foundation of their original shelter that they had built in their house. It was a stone foundation. The Bonnets, they were hunters and trappers. They tried farming apparently, but the soil around here, there's about 10 5-ton pieces of granite for every pound of soil. So the farming didn't work too much. We're just coming up here now, down over this hill, down in the valley. This is called Nancy's Cellar. Interesting name, eh? Nancy's Cellar. Before they changed the road, this is a new road here, by the way. New road, but it was built 20, maybe 15, 20 years ago. But the road used to snake in around and follow a little brook that's down there and come back in around like to the right of us, and then come back up, meet this road again. And it used to be quite deep in there, like the elevation change was quite a lot, so that's why it was always called Nancy's Cellar. So now just coming down over this hill, we're coming into a little settlement called Lauren, where the great Peter MacKay lives in Lauren. Everybody knows Peter, good, staunch, progressive conservative, but then he sold his soul, sold his heart, sold a lot of everything when he gave up to Stephen Harper, and it became just a conservative party. When it was progressive conservative, then we had something that... So yeah, Peter MacKay just lives down the road here to the left, or his old man does, Alma. I don't know, yeah, Peter still has a house up there. But Elmer was an MP for many, many years as well. A couple little farms along this road too. They're not real big farms now, more like hobby farms, if anything. The place on the right here has horses. I think they board horses, so he still maintains some fields, mows them, gets some hay off them from the horses. The one on the left, I think he just has his fields and he leases his fields out to the farmers who need the hay. We're coming up to a spot now. It's called Iona, the little village of Iona. There's not much there, it's just a turn in the road or an intersection. But there's a park on the side of the road in Iona. It's just around this turn, and it's called Iona Park. Right there, you see it on the right? Iona Park. So people say, you know, like, what is there to see around there? They say, well, there's Iona Park. I said, yeah, so you own a park, but where can I go? No, Iona Park. Yeah, Iona. Farm here on the left, he has beef cattle in there. Here on the left too that sells firewood. There's pretty good firewood there. Not running today though. It's funny, eh? Must have sold all his wood for the winter. Now we're coming into Hopewell. This area of Nova Scotia, you know, this is where the first railroad in North America ever was operated. It went from Stellarton towards Pictou, and it delivered coal from the coal mines in Stellarton to the waterfront. Well, it was an Grampie Point where the water was, and they would load up freighters with coal to haul it back to jolly old England. So we have lots of railway history here in Nova Scotia, in the central part of Nova Scotia. And in fact, the railway, I'm just going to cross the crossing up here. The railway comes from, well, it's from Stellarton. This rail line here goes on through to Truro, and just the other side of Hopewell, there's a little place that's it's called, it used to be called, not many people refer to it like that anymore. It was called Verona Junction. So when you mention to people, oh, I was out Verona Junction way the other day, they'll say, wow, where the hell are you? Unless they know that Verona Junction is Hopewell area now. I don't even think you can see Verona Junction on a map anymore. This is Hopewell, downtown Hopewell. There's a little store coming up here on the right. See it there with the red roof? It's closed now. It used to be like a snack bar and a gas station. Years ago, there used to be a sign on the back wall of the building on the outside, like advertising sign. It said, stop for food, leave with gas. That used to be a busy little gas station, because anybody from town heading to the woods for fishing or hunting, you know, this is the road that they would go on to go out to the woods where the camp is. Because from there, like in Nova Scotia, that part of Pictou County and Guysborough County and corner there of Halifax County, it's pretty remote and desolate. There's not many towns or villages around, so a lot of people go out that way hunting and fishing and sporting, basically. But anyway, that gas station there used to get real busy because people would stop in on their way out, like to get their provisions, definitely fill up with gas before you went out. But that's not so much the case anymore. The little grocery store, canteen, corner store kind of closed because just, you know, big box stores put them all out of business. So down here on the right is a little place called Eureka. And I guess maybe it was Eureka where Verona Junction was more prevalent. Verona Junction, I mentioned it was on the other side of Hopewell, but really Verona Junction is on the Stellarton side of Eureka. So Eureka is there on our right now, down over the hill, down to the river. And then Verona Junction was just the other side of that. So So if you're marking this on a map, like if you're trying to figure out where I'm driving, this is Eureka, and then Verona Junction. So it would be Verona Junction, Eureka, Hopewell on the way back home, or coming in, it's Hopewell, Eureka, Verona Junction that way. I'm trying to give you a tour of the area, and I don't even know what I'm talking about. Fire hall, God love the volunteer firemen. Where would we be without volunteer firemen, eh? Volunteer firemen and first responders, I'm telling you. Volunteer firemen especially. You know, they get called all hours of the day or night, and they come no matter what, and they're just volunteers. I mean, they get paid when they respond to a call, and I don't think it's very much. Probably, you know, stipends of some sort, but you know, it doesn't matter. You can call them at 1 in the afternoon or 1 in the morning, and they'll come just as quick. They're amazing. Volunteer firemen. Amazing. God love you all. And I tip my hat to you, and I thank the Lord that we have this. Alright, so we're just leaving Eureka, passed through Verona Junction. Don't know whether you noticed it there or not, but I think Verona Junction years ago was just a siding, just so they could offload cars, you know, like, or have a train pull off to let another train pass. Really wasn't a metropolis, that's for sure. But now we're coming into a little place called Riverton. And again, these places I'm talking about, they're just like areas along the road. There's no real, you know, city center in Riverton. I guess the big highlights in Riverton is it has a senior citizens complex, Valley View Villa, and there's a school in Riverton. There's an elementary school. A lot of the early money that was made in Pictou County area was made off the railway and off of lumbering, and of course off of coal. Coal and mining, though, the monies made from coal and mining were mainly funneled through to the mining companies. Poor miners and the people who worked at the pit, they didn't make much money. The mine owned all the houses, they owned the stores, you know, company stores, you ever hear tell of them? But the miners would rent the houses from the mining company, so before they even got to take their pay home to their wives or their families, the mining company would take their cut right off the top. So yeah, the poor miners, they never really they had a lot of disposable income, we'll say. But the railway was big in Stellarton, especially. Lots of big homes in Stellarton, and they're all railway homes. If you were to check back through history, you'd find out they were railway executives that owned them. And of course, there's lots of big homes around as well from people making money off of lumber. Lumber was big back, like, I'm going to say in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. 1920s, 30s, 40s we're talking about. But since then, you know, the lumber business has kind of gone down, especially when the pulp mill come in. When the original pulp mill here in Pictou County, at least, was the Scott Paper Mill in Abercrombie Point, and they acquired the rights to a lot of the land around the lumber rights, and they would cut the pulp off it, of course, and they needed that in order to survive. And you know, there's lots of people would say, man, the pulp mill, they just raped the forests. But really, they didn't. They managed the forest pretty well. I mean, they could have maybe done more replanting than what they did, but they did do a lot of replanting, and they also developed the woods. Like, we're in the woods now, we're living in the woods, and we go on our ATVs and we travel these roads. You can travel all day and never go on the same road trail twice. And all those roads were built by the pulp mill. They put in crossings and made roads. So, you know, we gained a lot by having the pulp mill, but certainly lost a lot. Like air quality and, you know, things like that were terrible. So it was give and take. But now the pulp mill is closed down, probably never open again. Alright, we're coming into Stellarton now. The environs of Stellarton here. This place coming up on the right used to be a lumber company, actually. Sold lumber, like I suppose an early version of a big box store. My father worked in there for all his working life when we moved to Stellarton. My father, he was was the sales manager in that outfit. He was the 2IC, I guess, the second in command. When you hear people talk, he's more or less like Dad ran that place, made it what it was. But I'm only going by what I hear. I really didn't know the internal workings of that place. But it was privately owned, and it was successful. I mean, Dad made a good living there. And then, of course, coming up here in Sullerton, on our right here is a Sobey store, and Frank Sobey started Sobey stores however many years ago. And you can't say that they haven't been successful, because they have. Good old Frank Sobey. I knew Frank when I was a kid. I knew him. He had a little store across the road from where I worked as a kid. And that's where Sobey's originated. That store's not there anymore. It's been torn down, and there's a park in there now. But yeah, Sobey's, quite the outfit. They've done a lot in Pictou County. But you could hear people talk about them, and they say they took a lot from Pictou County too, so, you know, that's always the way. So look at the traffic here in Sullerton. My God, it's bumper to bumper. Gee, Jehoshaphat. I grew up in Sullerton. This is where I cut my teeth. Back then when I was a kid, we had a high school in Sullerton, and everybody in Sullerton went to that high school, so everybody in Sullerton knew everybody. But that's not the case now. There's no more local school. They're all big rural school now, and there's about, well, I don't know how many students go to them, but a lot. But anyway, I have to go into the post office, so I'll leave you here. Well, sorry for the length of video, but I don't drive that fast, and it's 45 minutes to town. I cut out some parts here and there to try to speed it up. So anyways, let me know what you think of the scenery on the way to town. You know, this time of year it's a little bit more colorful than other times. I don't like going to town. I only try to limit my trips to town to once a week, but when you have to go, you have to go. You know what they say. So thanks for watching. Like I say, let me know what you think about the length, and leave me some comments about, you know, if you liked it or not. Thumbs up me too, that always helps. And take care, folks. Hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you.